The Philadelphia Eagles 2024 NFL schedule has been leaked, and coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, we're going to look at the slate matchup by matchup, and it's all sponsored by Game Time. If you're looking to go to an Eagles game this year, download the Game Time app, last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. And before we take a look at this Eagles schedule, let's hear from you down in the comments section right now. Howie Roseman crushed free agency, did so well in the NFL draft. This team is loaded, and they figured to be a Super Bowl contender. So how do you think the Eagles will fare in 2024? Predict the Eagles' record, and with that, let's take a look at the schedule right now. All right, let's do this thing. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. It is NFL schedule release day, so a happy NFL schedule release day to everybody. And the National Football League will officially announce these schedules tonight on television at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. This schedule has been leaked to us here at Chat Sports. If there are any changes, we will let you know with the video a little bit later on. But as of right now, let's take a look at this Eagles schedule because it's been leaked in a couple of different places, and we have a pretty good indication that this is going to be the factual schedule here. Weeks 1 through 4, we know that Philadelphia is going to start off with an international game against the Green Bay Packers in Brazil. The kickoff set for 8:15 p.m. Eastern on Friday night. Week 2, Philadelphia once again on the primetime docket against the Atlanta Falcons at home for their home opener. Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time once again. And then after last year, during the 2023 slate in which Philadelphia barely played any 1 o'clock games because they were featured heavily in the primetime schedule, a couple of 1 o'clock games to get to here. I kind of like it. People wake up early. They tailgate outside Lincoln Financial Field for these home games. And then you have the rest of the day to just sit back, relax, watch football. Obviously, if the Eagles lose a game, then the rest of your Sunday is a little bit spoiled. But week 3 on the road against the New Orleans Saints on the road, and then week 4 on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So back-to-back games against the NFC South on the road for Philadelphia in that early window. It's going to be an early bye for Philadelphia this year as compared to last year, where it was kind of smack dab in the middle of the season. I prefer that. I hate a week 5 bye because now you're having to play the rest of the schedule from week 6 to week 18 consecutively pretty much. After the bye, Eagles back on the board against the Cleveland Browns, 1 o'clock Eastern once again. Week 7 on the road against the Giants in that early Eastern time frame. Week 8, later time frame in that afternoon slot on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, as Philadelphia this year taking on the NFC South and the AFC North. Then we flip the page, weeks 9 through 13. Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Peterson coming to Lincoln Financial Field, Sunday Night Football against Trevor Lawrence, 8:20 kickoff. Week 10 on the road against the Dallas Cowboys, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. That's the classic Eagles-Cowboys late afternoon kickoff right in that primetime window. Week 11 against the Washington Commanders, Thursday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Week 12 on the road against the Rams, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Week 13 against the Baltimore Ravens, that late afternoon slot once again at 4:25 p.m. Eastern. And then you look at the rest of the schedule here. Week 14, Carolina Panthers, 1 o'clock p.m. Week 15 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4:25 that afternoon window as we get that Pennsylvania in-state rivalry. Washington Commanders on the road at FedEx Field, Landover, Maryland, 1 o'clock p.m. Week 17 against the Dallas Cowboys. That game's going to be big potentially with some NFC East implications at 4:25 p.m. Eastern. And then the Philadelphia Eagles rounding out the schedule here in 2024 against the New York Giants in Week 18. We're not sure yet what time that game is going to be because the NFL doesn't release those times until later in the year, sometimes in the lead up to the regular season finale because they want to see what playoff implications are still alive and well. So that is the schedule right there. We're going to go through it game by game because I have a lot of thoughts on all of these matchups for the Birds. But first, this is why you subscribe to the channel. Yesterday, breaking news on a signing. Talked about the most underrated player on the Philadelphia Eagles. Anytime there is breaking news, we have you covered. And right now on YouTube, nobody's talking about the Eagles schedule yet, but it got leaked and we're breaking it down. So hit that sub button. As you can see, we're 617 subscribers away from 75,000. And why you should subscribe? Daily Eagles coverage, news, rumors, and analysis. All of our content aims to be informative, insightful, entertaining, involving you. We do live shows every single week, watch parties for every single game, and we're all about the Bird Gang right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Now let me just pass along some thoughts on all of these games here. We'll go section by section for the Eagles 2024 schedule. We've known about this Week 1 season opener game for the last couple of months against the Green Bay Packers on the road in Brazil. It's going to be a Friday night, 8:15 p.m. And the Green Bay Packers are a team that it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they represent the NFC in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. They're that good. If Jordan Love can take that next step, they have 4 or 5 legitimate wide receivers, 2 tight ends deep, 2 really good running backs. What looks to be an improved defense with Jeff Hafley going from being the head coach of Boston College to the defensive coordinator under Matt LaFleur for Green Bay. That's a team that got hot last year, dump trucked the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round, competed with the number 1 seeded San Francisco 49ers. I think the arrow is pointing up for that team. It's going to be a wild scene in Brazil, and I imagine that Brazil is going to be painted all types of green. The ugly Packer green, the beautiful midnight green, and it's going to be a lively atmosphere for this international game to kick off the season. Very unique spot for Philadelphia in Week 1. Week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football, home opener, Lincoln Financial Field, September 16th. This is going to be a more difficult game given how that Atlanta Falcons roster is constructed, and it's one of our game time key games for the early portion of this season because Atlanta signing Kirk Cousins in NFL free agency, a 2-year deal pretty much, $100 million in guaranteed money. They have Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. They've stacked up that defense a little bit, and on both sides of the ball, they look to be one of the more improved teams in the National Football League. I like the hiring of Zach Robinson, who worked under Sean McVay with the Los Angeles Rams. Before that, he was working with Pro Football Focus. He's going to be the offensive coordinator under Raheem Morris, who's a defensive mind, and that Falcons team the last couple of years has been feisty early in the year before a drop-off under Arthur Smith, but with better and more consistent quarterback play, I think this could be a difficult matchup for Philadelphia, and it's not a cakewalk the first couple of weeks for Philadelphia here. So who you got? ATL for the Falcons, PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles. As we know, the Birds have fared very well against Kirk Cousins, especially at Lincoln Financial Field, and he has also struggled in prime time. Week 3 against the New Orleans Saints, 1 o'clock. You have that early window, and this is a Saints team that I don't like their head coach in Dennis Allen. I'm not a believer in Derek Carr. They do have a really good defense, but this Eagles offense matches up well against that Saints defensive attack, but it's one of the more difficult places to play in New Orleans. If you're looking to go to a game on the road, party on Bourbon Street, that could be a good time, but it's an early kickoff. Don't stay out too late on Saturday or just stay up all night and go to the game. That could be a lot of fun. And then Week 4, Eagles looking to exact that revenge against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after that dreadful showing in the NFC wildcard matchup in which Tampa Bay crushed Philadelphia. The Week 5 bye, I shared my thoughts on that a little bit earlier. I frankly think it's a little bit too early. Eagles back in the saddle Week 6 against the Cleveland Browns. And going up against the AFC North is going to be a challenge for Philadelphia because it might be the deepest and best division in all of football. Wouldn't surprise me if all teams are vying for playoff spots in the AFC North. But this is a matchup against a physical defense, up against Jim Schwartz, and a really solid offense with a lot of complementary weapons. Can Deshaun Watson finally put it together? I like Kevin Stefanski as the play caller. This is another one of our game time featured matchups here because it's a litmus test to see how the Eagles go up against a team that's extremely well-rounded. The other teams up until this point do have some weaknesses on their respective rosters. Cleveland, they're a sneaky Super Bowl contender in the AFC. And speaking of game time, if you're looking to go to any of these Eagles games, make sure you download the Game Time app and you can get $20 off when you use the code ChatSports. I love Game Time for all of the different features that they have. First of all, you get the last-minute tickets and flash deals. You get the views from your seats, lowest price guaranteed, but prices drop as the event gets closer. But with these last-minute tickets, you can save, ladies and gentlemen, up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, but also concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much more. I like the flash deals because you can save even more with the exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Then there are also zone deals. You can save even more when you choose a section at the stadium or venue, and then you let Game Time choose the seats. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. A divisional game up next after that Browns matchup. The New York Giants, 1 o'clock. On the road, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. I think the Giants are going to be an abysmal team, and this time next year, I think we're talking about potentially a new head coach, definitely a new quarterback because Daniel Jones is not the answer. I like the selection of Malik Neighbors, but it's looking bleak for the G-Men. Week 8 on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, 4:25 p.m., and it's another one of those games where you have a litmus test against a Super Bowl contender in the other conference to see how you stack up with the style of play inside that division in particular. That's always very physical. If Joe Burrow is able to stay healthy and come off that weird hand surgery, as a lot of quarterbacks haven't suffered that injury before, it's a difficult one to come back from. That Bengals team is going to be legit. Sunday Night Football, another primetime game for Philadelphia early on here in the first 9 weeks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dougie P., welcome back to Philadelphia Lincoln Financial Field, the only head coach who's won a Super Bowl in the history of this great organization. Dallas Cowboys on the road, AT&T Stadium. Under Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia's really struggled against Dallas, and Dak Prescott has had their number. But I think the Cowboys are secretly rebuilding. This is always a game that does a lot of great ratings. 425. That slot is always awesome. Week 11 against the Washington Commanders. This is going to be another NFC East tilt and a Thursday Night Football matchup for Philadelphia. Washington clearly rebuilding here. Will we see Jacoby Brissett at quarterback? Will we see Jaden Daniels? At this point, hopefully it's Daniels because I'm intrigued to see what he's able to do. That game set for primetime. And then another primetime matchup for the Birds. On the road, cross-country, Los Angeles Rams, Sunday Night Football. This is going to be another difficult test for the Birds here against a team that I think has Super Bowl aspirations. They lose Aaron Donald, but they stacked up along the defensive line in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk out of Florida State. You know that offense is going to be humming too. Puka Nacua in year 2 after a record-breaking rookie campaign. Cooper Kupp. They draft Blake Corum. Now you have him in the backfield with Kyron Williams. Sean McVay calling the offense with Matthew Stafford slinging the rock. Birds got the victory against the Rams last year, but I think the Rams improved at the end of 2023. That's going to carry over into 2024. And then week 13 against the Baltimore Ravens. Going up against Lamar Jackson, that offense, they signed Derrick Henry. The defense is always a good one, even though they're DC for the number 1 ranked defense in the National Football League last year. Mike McDonald is now the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Not going to be an easy game against Baltimore, but again, going up against the AFC North, a litmus test to see how you match up against some of the upper echelon teams in the National Football League. Pass rush integrity, lane integrity, going to be really important against Lamar Jackson. And then the final 5 matchups here for Philadelphia. Should be a cupcake game against the Carolina Panthers at home. Then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, much improved offensive line. And for Carolina, hopefully Bryce Young able to take that next step, because I want to see the young quarterback make some strides under new head coach Dave Canales, but that offense still lackluster as far as the weapons go. And then Pittsburgh really able to bulk up that offensive line. My big question mark for the Steelers, who's going to be the quarterback? Will it be Russell Wilson? Is he cooked? Is it going to be Justin Fields, whose completion percentage throughout his career is hovering around 60%? I like the run game. I like some of the offensive weapons. Will they trade for a wide receiver? Their defense, led by TJ Watt, a really good unit. We know Mike Tomlin always wins. 17 years in, never below a 500 record, and it's always going to get the juices flowing when you have Philadelphia going up against Pittsburgh for this in-state Pennsylvania rivalry. You have the Commanders again, the Cowboys again, and then you round out with the New York Giants. And at this stage here, Philadelphia could be jockeying for a playoff spot. They could be jockeying for playoff seeding. You have an easy game against Carolina. Not an easy game against the Steelers. Should beat the Commanders. And at home against the Cowboys and Giants, those are winnable games too. So you have that early bye and a lot of difficult games early in the year, and then it lightens up just a tad. But again, AFC North, a difficult division to face this year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Once again, get in the comment section. Predict the Eagles' record. I cannot wait for this upcoming season. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. If anything changes, we'll give you an official video looking at the schedule a little bit later on.